Hey everyone, Exercise Doctor here. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through my rationale for why I decided to have ChatGPT write a strength training program for me and then actually perform it. So I wanted to create this content and explore using ChatGPT for writing a strength program because like with any new really powerful technology, there is the opportunity for misuse. And so I really wanted to use this as sort of an experiment to help other people use this tool in a way that will work for them and try to avoid any pitfalls and shortcomings that the program may give. So I'm going to provide what I think are some of the strengths of using AI like this and also some of the weaknesses. So I've been playing with ChatGPT since it first came out and trying to get it to write me a strength and conditioning program. And the first several attempts failed miserably. I couldn't use any of it really. It was so jumbled and disorganized. There was no cogent thread to pull for any of the exercises or workouts that it gave me. So I sort of just gave up for a little while. I put it on the back burner and moved on, and then came back to it a few weeks ago and been playing around with it since then. And what I realized was it wasn't exactly ChatGPT that was at fault. I was giving it some bad prompts. I originally was just asking ChatGPT to write me a strength and conditioning program. Wasn't specifying for how long, wasn't specifying my goals or any sort of stipulations that would help ChatGPT kind of structure the program. The other thing that was really important that I didn't realize until later that would help was that ChatGPT kind of needs an identity for it to really work well. And what I mean by that is that it needs some kind of framework for it to establish sort of a baseline and something to build from. So the main two elements there are you're providing details about your goals and time frame and how often the frequency of the workouts and things like that, and providing some sort of framework background information to take from and use in a new program. Okay, so why did I choose Westside Barbell's Conjugate Method for ChatGPT to base the training on? There are two reasons. The first is Westside Barbell has been around for a really long time. And because they've been around for a long time, they have been publishing a lot of their methodology and their work on their website. And ChatGPT crawls websites, or at least they did during their training phase pre-2021. So I knew that they would have had access to a lot of, maybe not all of, but a lot of Westside Barbell's content, and would have learned from that content. So that was the first sort of stipulation for providing the framework for ChatGPT to use to build the strength and conditioning program. It needed to be something that it had access to on the open web. The second reason is Westside Barbell is a highly successful strength and conditioning gym, and their conjugate method has produced tons of really, really strong athletes. So I knew that I needed some kind of program and framework that was already successful because I didn't want to contend with, well, is it the program? Is that the reason I'm not improving on this program, or is it ChatGPT? So I wanted to test ChatGPT's capabilities, so I needed something in the program that I knew was going to be successful, and that's Westside Barbell. They've been around for a long time, and they've been really successful for a long time. Okay, so what is the conjugate method? The conjugate method combines Soviet and Bulgarian influences into one training program. So historically, they've differed in their styles of training, and but produced very successful athletes in their eras. And so what Louis Simmons did was kind of mesh those two methods together. And so the core structure of the program starts at the level of the workout, right? So a single workout is designed there's a primary lift and then there's accessory lifts. So each session has the primary lift, that's the main focus of the session. And those primary lifts are usually centered around one of the big three lifts. So bench, squat, or deadlift, because they are a powerlifting program and strength and conditioning centers around their powerlifting athletes. That's their main focus, those three exercises. And so the primary lift was one of those three or some variation of those lifts. And then after they do their primary lift, then they focus on their accessory work, which could be any number of lifts that supplement that particular lift on that day. Okay, so that's the level of the workout. And then if you scale that up to the level of the week, they go 4 days a week, and they have each of those days is a different focused workout. So on day one, so they may do a lower body max effort day on day one, which would be a Monday. And that might be like a squat and then accessory lifts that center around the back squat. And then day two might be a max effort upper body day where they focus on bench press and all the other accessory lifts that come with the bench press as a primary lift. And then they have 2 days following that are dynamic exercise days. And so they may do a dynamic lower body that centers around deadlift and the accessory lifts that follow with that. And then finally on the fourth day of the week is a dynamic upper body day. So it might be like a push press or some kind of bench press variation and the accessory lifts that follow that. So 4 days a week, all meshed together. We have 2 max effort days, a lower body and an upper body. And then we have 2 dynamic effort days, a lower body and an upper body. And so the difference between dynamic and maximal effort days is pretty extreme. So the max effort day is what it sounds like. You're lifting the maximal amount that you can for a certain number of reps at each set. So it's usually 3 to 5 sets of 3 to 5 reps or even lower. Sometimes it'll go down to a really heavy singles. And so that's for both max effort days versus a dynamic day, which is focusing on moving the weight as fast as possible. So really having some kind of explosive movement. This is usually done with a lower intensity effort, meaning it's not a maximal effort. It's 50, 60, 70% of the 1 rep max or 3 rep max or something like that. So the variation between max effort and dynamic effort keeps things fresh throughout the entire week. So they're training all those different things in the same week. So I think I already mentioned this, but the breakdown for the training days per week are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So you have Monday is a max effort lower body day. Wednesday would be a max effort upper body day. And then Friday would be a dynamic effort lower body, and Saturday would be a dynamic effort upper body. So that's the breakdown for the week. And these are usually in 3-week training cycles. So as I mentioned, the primary lifts are usually reps of 1 to 3 or 3 to 5, and there's 3 to 5 sets for each of the primary lifts. For the accessory lifts, oftentimes it's a higher number of reps, so it's 3 or 4 sets of anywhere between 8 and 12 repetitions. So you're getting the full spectrum of heavier, higher loads at lower reps, and a little bit more of a volume stimulus with the accessory work and doing more reps per set. And so together, the high strength early primary lifts with the higher volume 8 to 12 repetitions accessory work come together to form a nice stimulus of high strength and high volume, and so you get the strength and hypertrophy from this program. Another important point with the conjugate method is that the dynamic days are often done, the primary lifts are done with bands or chains to supplement the resistance at certain phases of the lift. So this is an important sort of nuance of the conjugate method and their dynamic days that I'll bring up in my critique with ChatGPT. Okay, so the question is, did ChatGPT give me a program that mimicked or looked similar to what you would get from the Westside Barbell Conjugate Method? And the short answer is sort of. Broad brushstrokes, yeah, it got the kind of overall weekly structure correct with the dynamic versus max effort days. It gave me 4 days per week. It split it by upper and lower body. So broad brushstrokes, it did pretty well. I do have some issues with exercise selection, and I'm not a Westside Barbell coach myself, so I can't really say, but I can imagine, based on what I know and what I think their programs are about, some of the exercises that ChatGPT gave me are questionable. So that's kind of one of the nuanced details that I think you might only recognize if you're in the field, and kind of scratch your head and go, well, why is that in here on a lower body dynamic day? That doesn't make any sense. So there are a couple of little things like that aren't quite right, but like I said, the overall broad brushstrokes, it did pretty well. The other thing, so I asked it for a 4-week program. That's sort of one of my stipulations. I didn't want it to be too long, but I did want it to be something that I could work with on a timeline that I had available to me. And so usually the conjugate method, I think, goes in 3-week blocks, and there are multiple 3-week blocks. So it's a longer program than what I requested ChatGPT give me. So part of that difference is on me, like my prompts and stipulations for the program. But that is different than what the traditional conjugate method would recommend, I think. Okay, so first with the weaknesses. The main weakness that I've found in working with this is that the AI does not provide very detailed and nuanced programs and details that you need to complete a program, especially if you are a novice or a beginner and you're just looking to start out with a strength and conditioning program or any kind of exercise program for that matter. It's not going to give you the same level of detail and nuance as hiring a personal trainer to write a program for you. That's the main issue, and the thing that you are really paying for when you're paying for a personal trainer. The second thing is that in my experience, it often doesn't provide the best information or the most accurate information. And it does so very confidently. So if you don't have a background in the field or the area that you are asking a question about, it'll give you an answer or in this case, like a program or a set of exercises very confidently. And you may not have the ability to ask the right questions to kind of alter the answer, get a better answer that you would from talking with a professional in the field or a personal trainer. So this is, I think, broadly one of the problems with AI, but I do think that with the tools like ChatGPT, they will get better over time, they will improve. But really the limitation is the quality of the training data that it's trained on. So if the quality of the data isn't great that it's getting, it's not going to give you the best answer. And that's, I think, really the main limitation as of right now. But like I said, I think that will improve over time. Okay, so what about strengths? So the main strength that ChatGPT and some of these other AI tools have is that they're free. At least currently, they're free. They have a very low barrier to entry because of that, and anyone with an internet access can go on and get some answer related to some health question or some kind of program if they really wanted to and knew how to prompt the AI to give it a decent answer. So I think that's the main strength to me, is that it's free, it has a low barrier to entry, whereas a personal trainer costs a lot of money for some people. And if you don't have the expendable income, that's just not an option for some people. The second strength is that you can iterate on this. So you can continue to prompt ChatGPT to ask it for more clarification, or ask to change the exercise or the workout program halfway through if you're not feeling like it's giving you what you need. Because it learns over time, it will improve and continue to give you better answers as you continue to work with it. This is also true of a personal trainer. The process of working through an exercise program is iterative, and you're constantly getting feedback from the trainer, and they're getting feedback from you about how the program is working, how you're feeling about it. So it's not that you wouldn't get that with a personal trainer, but I do think that there's a quick turnaround time that comes with ChatGPT and getting a response to you that you may not have with a personal trainer, especially if it's you're only one-on-one with the trainer once a week or whatever that may be. So that is a strength as well. It's not necessarily a dichotomy where you don't get that with a personal trainer, but just wanted to highlight that. So overall, I think that the ChatGPT program that I had written for me does a decent job of giving me what I need and what I wanted for a strength program. There are a lot of details that I wish would be different, and I will continue to kind of iterate on this and see if it can improve with more prompts or different prompts. But for right now, I'm going to stick with the program because it's good enough. And to be honest, a lot of times, especially with things like exercise, good enough is good enough. So you work with what you got and keep pushing forward. Okay, so we've been through the strengths and weaknesses of ChatGPT and how it performs with writing an exercise training program. We've compared and contrasted the differences between the actual Westside Barbell Conjugate Methods and what ChatGPT gave me. And so my overall takeaway, at least so far, is that it's okay. It's Not the best program I've ever seen, but it's certainly not the worst either. And if it helps somebody get to starting a exercise, I think that's great. I always want to promote people doing more rather than less, and starting an exercise program rather than being, sedentary and declining health. So more is better than less, and some is better than none. So I think if you're interested in exploring ChatGPT to help you with a strength training program or an aerobic training program, just beware of some of the limitations that I talked about in this video, and try to do your best to provide very specific prompts based on your goals and your background, and what you want to get out of it. So the more detailed you can be, the better it will perform for you. And so you also want to iterate and provide some feedback to ChatGPT and ask it to clarify certain things or make some amendments or edits so that it works better for you. So if you like this video and you want to support me in producing more content like this, please hit the like and subscribe button. This is Exercise Doctor. I'll catch you next time.